going on, people? We are back. Big up to everybody that's here, ready and waiting. Had to set up things very last minute today, so I do apologise for those of you that are not aware that we are live now, but we are live. We're back on the channel. It's myself and Lee talking all things Arsenal. Are Arsenal set for a quiet window? Is it time to panic? That's what we're going to talk about today. A lot of fans that I know that are very old school are all ranting and raving on WhatsApp to me saying, this is going to be a terrible window. It's all going to go Pete Tong. Is it? That's what we're going to discuss today. Big up to all of you in the chat. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. We are so close to 40k and that's what we need to get to. So that's our next target. Lee, how are you, first of all? And secondly, that is a very nice shirt, mate.
Thank you very much. Yeah, all good, all good. Been a busy day and the weather's very, very nice. Yeah, I've got my England shirt on today, courtesy of Soccer at Oz. Listen, do the shirts, and I'll tell you what. He said to me, "I'll send you an England one, like, you know." So I said, "Oh, fantastic!" And I said, "Will you choose me one?" I didn't really know which one, and he's put me out the away one. And I'll tell you what, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I'll tell you what, if you go over to www.Soccer at Oz, and also they're on Instagram, you can get any shirt you want like this. And it's like, don't have to be Arsenal. You can go for England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Barcelona, whatever, like, you know. And they're a really, really good fit and everything like that. And I'm well pleased with this one. And unfortunately, it didn't win us the Euros, but there you go, like, you know what I mean. So get yourself over there and check them out. Got some great shirts over there, and I can tell you that top quality. So there you go.
Brilliant stuff, man. We'll definitely make sure we put a link in the description so that you guys know how to get to Soccer at Oz to order your shirts, whoever you support. So big up. Talking of shirts, Lee. Talking of shirts.
Yeah, let's have a chat.
Arsenal's away kit looks just like Reggie has said. Links Africa. That is what I think of when I see that away shirt. Yeah. Links Africa. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I don't know about you. I'm not a fan of it. What do you reckon?
No, I think that's what's going to get called, like the links top. I really do like it. I mean, because, yeah, I've seen it today. For me, it's not for me. I know it's got the African heritage, and, you know, like, it's just for the supporters of Africa and the players that have played for Africa. But nah, it's not. It's, you know, how can I say it? The black one a couple of years back. It's not a. You know, it's
black and gold one was the one, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I wore that today, like, you know, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful top. It's up there. I'll tell you what, I'm always a traditionalist, yellow and blue, like, you know what I mean? I think Arsenal should go with that. I do like the green one when they got the green. Every now and then will be the third strip. But that black and gold one, for not being red and white, not being yellow, not being green, it is right up there. When I see that, I had to get it down. I had to get it, you know. And I just think that this one it looks like a cheap version of that. Can I say that about being horrible?
Yeah. I'm old school. Red and white, definitely home kit, of course. Yellow and blue should be the away kit, and black and gold should be the third kit. There we go. And then everyone's happy, aren't they? Then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Black and gold, I liked it, man. I don't think that'll get beat. I mean, the one behind me, I love the Bruce Banana. That's my favourite, but that's more iconic in terms of what you actually love to actually wear. I do love it, though. So I absolutely still do love it.
Yeah.
I love the gold that we had, you know, the Sega or the Dreamcast. Ooh. That was a nice one. I liked that gold when Will Tord scored in 2002, that kit. But I have to say, that black and gold one, mate, is.
It's up there. It is 100% up there. And I'm just going through, like, looking at the tops now. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing, like, I wouldn't say it's a horrible kit. I have to say, I like the red cannon on it, like, and I do like that we've sort of gone down that route there. Have you seen, like, the warm-up tops and things like that? My God, like, you know what I mean? They look like something out of the army or something, like, you know what I mean? Let's hope we are going to war, like, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, I tell you what, you know, like, it looks like camouflage at sometimes. Some of our players probably need that. We're going missing so much. But, you know what I mean? Unbelievable. But, I'm just looking at one now. I'm just going to go and put my shades on. Like, at the end of the day, who could wear that? You know what I mean? So, listen, I'm not a lover of it. I'm going to be honest. I think this year the kits I've seen the third kit as well. I'm not a lover of any of them really. I'm not like out there going, wow, I've got to go.
I don't mind. I don't mind the third kit because I quite like the old school Adidas badge on it. It's like a turquoise colour, isn't it? The third kit.
Yeah.
But this here just reminds me of Lynx Africa. I used to get every Christmas and birthday for the last 20 years as a teenager. I used to get that as a gift box set. Not that there's anything wrong with Lynx Africa, but I don't wear it anymore. I used to as a kid. But that is what it reminds you of, Lee. The red, the green, the black. That is what it's like, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
if I said to you, what is Declan Rice wearing? You would say Lynx Africa there, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, if you know what I mean, if you put that links on the thing, it would be an advert. It would be that would be it, wouldn't it? Like, you know what I mean? I just listen, we're looking at it now. It's okay, you know what I mean? Like and I've got to say, the black one does go, you can wear it with anything, but what I think is great about the black and gold one is that if you want to wear green tracksuit for combats or beige combats or khaki black, whatever. It just went with everything. You know what I mean? You ain't got to worry about I can't wear it. That one there, like, you know what I mean? You couldn't actually wear blue tracksuit bottoms with that, could you? Like, you know what I mean? It's all over the shop. You know what I mean? So look, listen, I'm not one for fashion. Like, better people than me with fashion, but listen. It's not got me going out there going, well, I've got to go and buy that. Like, where the black and gold one, yes, go and get it. Like, the yellow and blue one a couple of years ago, like, with the yellow shorts, I was on it. Got to have that. That one there, you know what I mean? No, thank you, but no thank you. Like, so
I've got to agree. I don't think it's one that I will get. This is the third kit though, William Saliba. Obviously, I like the badge. I've got to say, the gun and the Adidas thing, I love that. I don't mind. It's very similar to sort of colours we had before. Remember, we had that turquoise green. We had that horrible green at one stage. I didn't really like, and then it went a little bit more turquoisey training colour. I quite liked, but I just old school, man. Black and gold I loved, but I'm yellow and blue and red and white, mate. Always will be, really.
I did like the green and blue one of last season. I really did like that.
Yeah.
Apart from the little button on it, I didn't like that. That's why I'd never got it in the end. So I went for the training top. But I think that reminds me, because when I was still at school, Arsenal did play in that colour one year.
It was 82, wasn't it? I was saying 82, 83.
Yeah, all right, Dan. No need to mention that.
Yeah, just to let you know, I wasn't born, Lee.
No, you wasn't. But I was. I was still at school. It had green, blue shorts and green and blue hoops. It was all right. It was. Listen, I can say at the time, a lot of people went against it. There was like a lot of hoo-ha about it, like, and they soon only done it for 1 year and changed. But I did quite like that one. I'm not really ever fussed about what they do with the third kit. If they want to go whatever they want to do with the third kit, but I do think the first should be like red and white, and the second one should be yellow and blue, and the third kit go with whatever you want. That third kit, if we just seen there, I like it. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it don't. I'm not there going, I've got to go and buy that. I've got to go and buy that kit, like, do you know what I mean? Like, or I've got to go and buy a tracksuit, a training top like that. The green one last season done that for me. The black and gold one's done it for me, and the yellow and blue. But these three kits, I'm going to be really honest, haven't done it for me. But listen, we win the league of them, they'll be iconic, and that's how you got to look on it. I'd never really liked that. Was it yellow one? What was that one last year? Like, you know what I mean? Green and lime green, was it? I don't know, but
no, that was awful. I didn't like that.
I
didn't realise that you know the black lines on it. That's the map of Islington. Did you know that?
Yeah, someone told me that the other day. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I never knew that. I actually got it wrong. This is the third kit. Sorry, the one that I did put up with Saliba. That was one that was rumoured to be. This is actually apparently this is the official
really
one. Yeah.
Well, they want to go back to the one with Saliba.
Yeah, that one looks a bit odd. That's like purple. That's like purple, isn't it?
Well, like someone's painted on it, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, missed their stroke. You know what I mean? Like, I started to paint it and give up. It's a bit like my,
It look good. Big up to Aaron in the chat. He told me to go over there for it. But yeah, these are, I'm not sure about that one at all, I'm afraid. It looks like it's half and half. It looks like the half of it looks like what Saliba had on, and then the first half of it, someone's painted with a purple brush.
Nah, well, you know what I mean? Like, good. That's a good thing. I can save me money this year. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I bought the home kit because I actually don't mind the home kit this year, but the other two I'll pass. I think.
I'm gonna say the home kit's all right, Dan. Like the shirt, but then when you put the shorts on, it looks awful when they're trying to with the blue trying to go down. What's all that about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nah, not for me. Like, you know what I mean? So, but listen,
Yeah.
you know that kit we were saying about with the isn't and lines in it. That if Arsenal would have won the league last season, with the
Yeah, it would have been iconic.
it would have been iconic. And to be fair, we won a lot of games in that last season. So I think we memorised. You know, we sent the opposition in the days with that. Like, I used to come away from away games with an headache. It was that. I swear it was that. It was that. Honestly, like I thought it was
the result. It was the kit.
Yeah, it was the kit because I kept like going, "Who's that? Who's that?"
I'll tell you what. Do you know a stat about that kit? I'll give you a stat about that kit. Never lost a game in it.
Really?
Yeah, won every. I think in fact we won every game.
What about Aston Villa? We didn't beat
other
Aston
than
Villa.
Anfield. No, we lost to Aston Villa in the green one.
Did we play in the green? Did we?
And we played in the green against Fulham, and we played in the green. Oh, hang on, Newcastle. Did we play Newcastle in that?
I think we played in the red and white Newcastle.
Did we? Yeah. So there we go then. So we never lost in it. Someone check that for me in the chat. I don't want to say that and then it's wrong, but I'm sure I got told that, and I couldn't think of a game that we'd lost. We definitely drew at Anfield in it, but I think we won every single other game.
Do you know what? That's really weird. You know, I mean, I was at Aston Villa game. I had a few beers that day because I was in hospitality. But if you'd have said to me what kit I would have gone with that. And we played in the yellow and blue, the green and blue.
Green and blue, yeah.
So I'm there. I'm watching the game, and I don't even know what kit we're in.
Because Havertz scored. Do you remember in the last kick?
Yeah, it was a goal.
Yeah.
If we'd have given that, there was no way they could. It was only they went on the referee's decision, didn't they? Like, you know what I mean? So, joke.
Yeah. Well, it is a joke, mate. And something else is a joke to some people in our fan base is this transfer window. So let's talk about it. Before we go to players, before we go to what's been stalled and delayed and players that are going and leaving, is it time to panic, Lee?
No, I don't think it is time to panic. I will say this, though, that the last two seasons, when we've been successful, and I mean like when we've challenged for the title, right, and we've gone really close to winning the title in the last 2 years, it's been fantastic ride. All of our signings have come before we went on this American tour. If you look back, Jesus, Shinchenko was actually signed on the tour. Last season, Declan Rice, £100 million was on the tour. I think like the tour was even earlier. I think like it was started already like by now. Timber was signed. Kai Havertz was signed. They was all on that tour. We haven't signed anybody this season, and we're going on tour. They leave on Sunday, and we haven't got one signing on through. Now, I'm not worried about that so much and the build up for that because you know it's not the end of the world. But what I do like and what I feel's good is that last season, like the Declan Rice, he gets involved. He gets into to know the players, watching what they're doing, routines and things like that. And if you get I don't know, someone after that tour, they're coming in when it's not so, you know, like the bonding sort of thing. They're away all the time now. So they'd be sitting around getting to know each other and all that. So I do feel that is a bit of a worry there. Not much the football side of it and all that, like, because they can get up to speed with the Emirates Cup and all that, like, you know. But for me, I would have liked to seen a couple of signings on there. Now, it could be that we could sign players and they wouldn't have been on the tour because they've been involved in the Euros or whatever. We don't know that. So, you know, and that is why I'm staying a little bit patient at this moment in it. But I'm not buying into all these people when people keep. I've been on the group chat. It really does frustrate me when someone on the group chat, I'm not going to mention names, turn around and say, "This is worrying me now." Oh, calm down. We will get this done. Calm down. You know what I mean? No need to panic. Well, you've been saying that for 3 or 4 years now. And we still not have, in my eyes, had a window where I thought, yeah, we've done enough. We've done the right business. I felt we was one short a year before last, and definitely I felt we was a player short this time around. And and someone says, "Oh well, you know, so and so's got to play better if he just plays better." And I see that on the group today. So, listen, Saliba played every single game last season. Declan Rice started every single game. That's very, very hard to do, Dan. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't going to get that every season. Like, you know, there is going to be times when Saliba's not going to be available, or Declan Rice is not going to be available. Like, you know, now if the season was to kick off without Declan Rice, and you said, right, what's your midfield? You'd probably go Partey, Jorginho, and Odegaard. That should be good enough to beat Fulham. It should be, like, you know what I mean? But long term, if like Declan Rice is out for 4 or 5 games, you know, you need somebody else in there. Like, so I do think that we desperately need someone else in the midfield. Definitely a wider option as well. I think we need 3 players, Dan. I've said this all along, like, you know, and I don't know why we are being so slow with everything at this moment in time. Certainly not panic. I won't panic at this moment in time, but I can be a little twitchy, and I think I am being a little twitchy at this moment.
Give it another couple of weeks, and we're in this position, and we will be twitching. I'll tell you that now.
Well, I said this yesterday, and I say again, we won't be making any sign, I don't think, over in America. Might be wrong, because we made Chinchenko while we was there. What I'm hoping is that they're going to have some good lunches and some dinners, and I might even try and get on one of them and try and you know, spike the drinks, like, and, you know, like get old Cronky drunk and to agree to a couple of big deals. You know what I mean? Like, but I imagine there'd be a lot of talk, a lot of negotiations, what they're going to do and what they're going to do and what they're going to spend over the next week or so in America. And hopefully, as soon as we come back from America, bang, we nail 2 or 3 that will hopefully push us towards getting over the 90 points, because that's what we've got to do, Dan. We've got to find ourselves, I think, another 2 points from somewhere. Got
to win 30 games, haven't we? That's what we've got to do. Got to win 30 games. That gets you 90 points. We've got to win more than 30 games, actually. You've got to be, if you want to be guaranteed the league, you've got to win 31, 32 games. Very hard to do, but that's what we're trying to do.
I think that, yeah, that guarantees your title, 32 games.
Yeah, 32 wins, and I think that's
hard.
That's hard. Of course, it's hard, mate. Absolutely, it is. Listen, I'm going to say this: I am not in panic mode. However, I do have concerns, and it is about this Calafiori deal. I understand if you are trying to buy a player that you really want, and they want 120 million, and I've only really got 70 or 80 million to go for it. I would understand why there would be some negotiations taking place, Lee, because we're trying to offer 70 and they want 120. But in this deal, they want 50 million and we're trying to get it down to 40 million plus add-ons. What the hell are we doing? I've got to be real here. What is happening here? Because as far as I'm concerned, when you get linked with a player 3 weeks ago, and then 3 weeks goes past and there's been no movement on it, when the player says he wants to come, the personal terms have been agreed, Bologna have said he's for sale, and we still can't get it done within the time period. We should be moving on to the next signing by now, mate. We should not have been in this scenario with the players we've been linked with David Raya through the door and no one else. That is my honest opinion. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be a bad window now and we're able to have a mess and we need to get rid of everybody and we need to be in panic mode. But at the same time, when Bologna say he's 50 million euros, we should be saying, no problem, how do you want it? Because he's coming to Arsenal and he wants to come to Arsenal. Now, there's a 50% sell-on fee from Basel. Basel apparently are getting that. But because of that, that's why they want 50 million. So if we really want this player, we should just go, there's 50 million, like we did with Ben White. Because when Ben White was 50 million, we offered 38, then 40, then 42, then 44. Just bloody offer 50 and get it done. Why are we trying to save £4 million here, Lee? Please explain that to me.
I don't know, and you know, but this seems to what happens. You know, you can look at it around with Smith-Rowe. If Fulham are putting a bid, and you know, then they're coming back with another one, like, you know. So it's not just Arsenal that do this. Probably everybody does it. It's negotiations, I suppose. Like, you know, I think Arsenal will look at it and say that they're in a good position because he's turned around and, you know what I mean, Calafiori said that he only wants Arsenal, a bit like what Declan Rice did. You know what I mean? And we had to, you know, like I remember the panic stations on the Declan Rice thing when like Manchester City put a bid in.
Oh
But
God,
do you remember that? Like, you know, and we was all going mad. But at the end of it, you know, that he'd given his word that it was Arsenal, and we sorted out the deal and it was done. So it's probably the same with this one. They're just trying to get the best deal. I do think that Bologna now is what I was told today is that they're now going back to Basel, seeing if they can do some sort of deal with them, like, you know, where, because he's only signed for them a year ago, wasn't he? Like, I didn't even realise he's only been at Bologna for a year. So, you know, I think there is a little bit of that, like, and I think this one will probably get over the line at some point, like, you know, I really do. But I get what you're saying, and there is a frustration about it. You know, have you in any doubt that Smith-Rowe will be a Fulham player at the end of the season? I think he will be. And so they're negotiating, trying to get it right. You know, probably like the same sort of thing. He's probably had some indication from Smith-Rowe that he'd prefer to go there than somewhere else. So you try and, okay, we'll try and get the best deal and try and force a hand a little bit of Arsenal. If, you know, they might be say to Arsenal, saying it don't matter what Crystal Palace offer, he's not going to go there, like, you know. So a little bit of cat and mouse at this stage, but we want something done. I think, you know, we're desperate to see something get done, and this is in a position that I don't think that we're desperate for, like in other positions. So it would be really interesting to see what happens here. I'm not worried at any moment on anything at this moment in time, like, you know. So we shall see. We shall see.
I don't think it's time to panic, but it does worry me when we have negotiations like this. Now, I happen to think that this will get done. I think we will sign him. I don't think it will be any time over the next day or two, but I think we'll sign him, and I think he'll be a good player for us. I think we'll get him for around £45 million, and I think they'll agree that that's the price that they'll go for. As for Smith-Rowe, we'll touch on him soon, but I think he probably will go to Fulham if Fulham stump up the cash. They're willing to go to 40 million. There was a rumor today suggesting that it might be 40 million tops that they go for. If they hit 40 million, I think Arsenal will sell him for that. I really do. So yeah, there's going to be players out going. Kivior is, again, there's a report today suggesting that Bologna are talking to Arsenal about if they can include Kivior into this deal, and, you know, stuff like this. So there's a lot, I think, else going on that perhaps we don't know about here. But for whatever reason, it's not as simple a deal as we thought it was going to be. And I remember when Romano reported this, he gave the kind of confidence that this was going to be done within the next day or two. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all agreed. He wants to go, but there's something holding it up, whether it's the Basel 50% thing, whether it's the fact they want more money, whether Arsenal can't afford it, whether there's a player going the other way in a swap deal as well. Listen, if we swap Kivior for Calafiori, we've got an upgrade, because from what we hear, Calafiori is much better than Kivior, right? But at the same time, you kind of want this to just get done now, you know, so we can move on to the next guy. Let's sort the goalkeeper situation out. If it's Setford coming in, Bentley coming in, Garcia coming in, whatever, they're easy deals to get done. And I said this earlier to Nani, funny enough, speaking to Andy about this, and I said, there are players that Arsenal could quite easily get in the door here. Now, I understand you can't get 6 players in 6 days, but at the same time, if we wanted Ivan Toney, he's there available for 40, 50 million. That's easy to get done. Mikel Merino is easy to get done. It's £20 million. Do you know what I mean? That's an easy deal to get done. Likewise, this Calafiori thing is easy to get done. The goalkeeping situations, they're not all fighting for these goalkeepers. They're easy to get through the door, right? I can understand that you might have more of a delay on players like Eze, Nico Williams, links to Joshua Kimmich, links, if we were interested in, Bruno Guimaraes. They're the sort of players that you think, yeah, I can see why that's taking a bit of time. But some of those names that I said early on there, Lee, we should be easily able to get players like that across the line. So it may be that in a few days' time that happens and we start to see things. I will say this, and I said it yesterday, we ain't the only ones that ain't doing anything, Lee.
No, I agree. But listen, I think that a couple of those deals will be done. You know, I think that the goalkeeping one with the Ajax thing was agreed. That's going to happen. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know what the delay is there that they're happening, but it is those big ones that you say that I think are going to be one, they've got to be kept quiet for obvious reasons. If you're spending a lot of money on a big target, they've got to try and negotiate another target, and they don't want you perhaps knowing how much they've got and whatever. So there's all of that in it. I just think you've got to be a little bit patient, because we're now in a situation in the transfer window where we're looking for just specific positions, just one or two specific positions that are going to upgrade us that little bit more, like, you know. But it's a difficult one, because if we'd have just signed a goalkeeper like from Ajax, 18-year-old goalkeeper, or Bentley, we'd be all going, "Oh, we've only just spent this and spent that." There's always going to be people moaning, like, I'm worried about that, like, you know. But I've always said, if you got Declan Rice, whatever comes after that, you were just happy with, like, you know what I mean? Like, Kai Havertz come along and Declan Rice. I think like Kai Havertz went under the radar a little bit because of the Declan Rice one. If we was to go and sign Bruno tomorrow, people wouldn't be worried about that position being taken and all that, like, you know what I mean? They just want that big signing coming in. And I think what they want that for is, we were talking about this today, it's not necessarily, it's reassurance, it's just a little bit of making you feel that. But I'm worried like you that we was close to winning the league last season. And I believe this, I've said it yesterday, Thomas Partey fit all season, we probably would have done. But we know he's not going to be fit. And I don't want to be relying on Thomas Partey no more. And that's nothing against Thomas Partey. I want to be relying on someone that's going to, like a Declan Rice, that's playing every single game, you know, and I'm not worried about every time that he goes in for a tackle or whatever. Like, I've been fed up with that over the years, Dan, of every time there's a tackle, I'm closing my eyes, wishing that everything's all right. I had that a little bit with Saka every time he gets tackled. Martinelli. We've still got a couple of fragile players in this squad. But, you know, the ones that we've signed, Kai Havertz, he gets it, he gets back up. Declan Rice gets it, he gets back up. I like Saliba, he gets it, he gets back up. Gabriel, I want a few more. Every time Tierney gets the ball, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not being horrible. Like, he's one of those players that go and pick up a bottle, drop it on his foot, and he'd be out for a month. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want those sort of players no more, with all due respect. So I want to see us with a midfield that's going to, I look at that midfield and go, one, it's good enough. Two, it's going to be around all season. I don't see that at the moment. I think with Jorginho is a player that can come in and do parts and play in certain games and be a squad player. I like that. But Thomas Partey, yes. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, Odegaard's a solid midfield three, Dan. Like, but what happens if we get injured? Also, they've got extra games, and I can't believe with probably an extra 10 games next season on top of what we've got, we haven't done anything yet. Like, you know what I mean? And I look at that and go, well, surely they're going to address that, because if they don't, I think Mikel and Edu will be right under the pump if that doesn't happen. Like, you know, right under the pump. And I don't think they're that silly. I really don't.
Listen, I'm with you. And I'll tell you why the midfield is an issue for me right now. It's clearly, for me, the biggest priority area to strengthen this summer, because it's not future-proofed like the other departments, in my opinion. The defence is future-proof, Lee. We've got Saliba, Gabriel, White. We're bringing in Calafiori, Timber, Tomiyasu. They're all the same age. They're all in their early 20s. Likewise across the front three, Saka and Martinelli, they're youngsters, right? Jesus and Havertz aren't old. But in midfield, other than Rice, we've got Jorginho and Partey, and that's it. Who, by the way, are both leaving Arsenal next summer on a free transfer because their contracts are up. So we need to bring some players in this area big time, mate. Big time. Now, I've said before that we need a 6 and an 8. I stand by that. I think that we do need 2 in midfield to add to the 3 that we've got. We don't believe that Thomas Partey and Jorginho, although they look to be both staying, we don't believe they're going to be available for anything more than between 15 and 20 games tops. Like you've said, they're going to get game time because of the amount of games that we're playing. But if Rice was to get injured, I actually don't think we could pick a 3 in midfield. Like, we'd have to play a double pivot of Jorginho and Partey and then have Odegaard as the 10, because we don't have another box-to-box midfielder other than Declan Rice. So that's an absolute must. There's an absolute must for a box. As someone, you know, people have said, do we buy a 6 or an 8? Anyone who says we only need a 6, well, that means we'll have 4 6s and 1 8 in Rice. So we need to go and get a number 8, 100%. And we need a 6 as well. So that's definite. Now, the 6 and the 8 need to be long-term, proper, coming in and being ready players. Not this might be ready in a couple of years, give him a 19-year-old that might be ready in 2 years. We need them ready now. We need them coming in to that first team, and they need to all be looking at each other going, who's playing then? Because we're all good enough to. None of this, oh, well, they're definitely the best 3, and we will just sit on the bench and wait one day we might be them. Like, well, this needs to be a proper midfield surgery, in my opinion, this summer. Now, whether we're going to do that or not, I don't know, Lee. I mean, Mikel Merino is the only guy really that's looking likely that he could come to Arsenal. There's rumours, of course, in the past of Bruno Guimaraes and De Jong and what's his name, Joshua Kimmich. Onana has now gone to Villa. We've heard names. Zubimendi is being linked again, but looks like he wants to stay.
Yeah.
There's nobody at the moment that's massively linked other than Mikel Merino. João Neves is another one over at Benfica, but you're looking at 90 to 100 million pounds there. Will Arsenal pay that much money again like a Declan Rice? I don't know. That's a question. Maybe they will. But whoever we get in, Lee, it has to be, I think, and I don't know if you think this is a question to you, I think it needs to be the most exciting or one of the most exciting summer signings this window. It needs to be a midfielder that we all look at and go, cool, look at that midfield now.
Yeah.
Rice, Erdegaard and whoever we buy.
100%.
You see what I'm getting at?
100%. Like Rice, right? Where is Rice going to play? I think it says there, like, listen, Rice plays, but at the end of the day, we're saying that Rice is going to need some sort of break at this stage. He's not going to play FA Cup games, I don't think. He's not going to play League Cup games, certainly. And I'd like to think that maybe like he's going to be resting in a few Premier League games at some stage as well. I haven't got the winter break this season like we did had last season. You think about it, look, we went into that. Lucky we had that break because we reset, come back and look how good we were. We're not having that this season, Dan. That's not there. So the trip to Dubai ain't going to be there in January, so these players are going to have to keep going and going and going. That's on top of what they've been doing last season and in the Euros. So he's going to need a bit of a break. And listen, if you brought in Bruno and you could play Bruno, Partey and Odegaard and you wouldn't miss Declan Rice, then you could play Declan Rice and Thomas Partey and you wouldn't miss Bruno. And then you can play Rice and Bruno, as we're saying it, or whoever it will be, and then Partey can be rested. And you're now like thinking, well, they're all getting sufficient enough rest and the drop-off is not there. But there will be a drop-off if they don't sort that out. And that's what they've got to do. The midfield needs addressing. And I'll be very, very disappointed if they're not doing it. I think that they will. If I'll be honest, I think that they will. But also what worries me more than anything is that, listen, players like Jesus and Declan Rice were big signings for us and they come in hitting the ground running. Why is that? Because they had the pre-season. They got to know what was going on. We're going to bring in players towards the back end of pre-season. Let's be honest. Pre-season started now. They're back. So they're not going to come in the beginning of it. They're not going to come in the middle of it because that's when we're in America. So they're going to be coming at the back end of it. Or even, dare I say it, when the season started. And that doesn't bode well for getting them in and hitting the ground running straight away, whoever they may be. So that is my big worry. But then, listen, you can look at that as another thing. If they do that, you can say, okay, right, well, for the first couple of weeks, you're not going to be involved. And then when you settle in and get everything, then we'll leave out Declan and you can get a run in the team. I don't know. There's all like things that can happen. The difference this season is that there's been no disruption to our pre-season over the last 2 years. We've had a constant and we've gone on and challenged. This time around, it is a little bit unknown how they're going to do it, how they're going to get the players. As you said, they've always turned around and said, we want the players before we go to America. They haven't said that this season, maybe because they know that they couldn't. So all this time around now, it's just different little scenarios where they're making different decisions. And we just got to go with it and see what happens. But do I think that we're going to be really ready for that first game? No, I don't. Julian made a great point today we was really ready for it last season, and we didn't really play that well against Nottingham Forest, if you remember. Like struggled a little bit.
Palace as well. We won 1-0.
Yeah, so in those first few games, if I'm not being horrible, if we drop points in those first couple of games, they might be fatal. Those points, Dan. So listen, I'm trusting in the two guys. In particular Edu and Arteta. They know exactly what they're doing, and they've got this planned out to a T. What they know what they're doing, and they've given me no reason not to trust them over the last couple of years. But by God, if they don't do it and we end up like coming halfway down the table and not challenging this season, then the fans are going to be going mad. We'll be going mad.
Absolutely. Yeah, and rightly so they will, 100%. Listen, guys, get your questions in. We're going to do some questions as we come to a close, so make sure you get your questions in the chat. Make sure you put a Q next to the question, and make sure if you want to put a super chat in, then it goes, of course, to the front of the queue, and you'll get your questions answered that way. I've started a couple already of questions that we've got, so please make sure that you put them in now. Start flooding them. I will star them, and we will go through them. Whilst we are looking at some of the questions coming in, Lee, I will ask you about some outgoings. Reiss Nelson looks very likely to be off to West Ham. West Ham have been told he's 15 to 20 million pounds. Whether they believe that's the right price or not, well, that's how much he's going to cost, apparently. And Emil Smith-Rowe, we touched on earlier, 40 million pounds. Now, do you think that we will get replacements for both of them in the door? Now, the reason I ask that is because it looks like Reiss Nelson will probably be replaced because we're linked with wingers. A lot of people say that we need wingers. What about Smith-Rowe? If he goes, we got Vieira there. Is Ethan Nwaneri going to be given that kind of chance to step up? Or do you think we might put in a cheeky bid for somebody like a Danny Olmo or like a Morgan Gibb-White or somebody like that? Like what are you saying, bro?
I think what they'll do is they give Nwaneri a chance to start off with on this tour, see what he can do. 17 years of age is, very, very young. But when you look at other players that are playing there, they've got games. So I think that they'll look at that situation there. I think that he's a top young player. Whether he's ready yet or not to perform, we're going to find out. I think so. It's important that he gets on the tour and gets some sort of minutes. Nelson, I think that they're replaced with someone that can play a couple of positions. I do think that if it is Eze, I think that would be a fantastic bit of business. Somebody like that who can play 2 or 3 positions. And I think that they'll wait and see on that one. Like, I think that, listen, at the end of the day, how many games did Smith-Rowe play last year? How many games did Nelson play last year? Not very many, Dan. So it's not like you're losing these players that have been getting loads and loads and loads and loads of minutes. And unfortunately for Smith-Rowe, it's because of injuries. But and when he did come on, he did perform okay. Nelson very, very rarely played, so odd couple of games. So they may look at that and go, do you know what? Nwaneri can do that at 17 years of age. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I really don't know what they're actually thinking at this moment in time. Are they looking to get 2 or 3 players out before they bring in some players? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see, Dan. I know we don't want to keep hearing that, but that's how it is. I haven't got a clue what's going on. There's no real information in anything really, and I think that's what's panicking a few people, and making it a little bit unsettling. But my mate Dan made a very good point earlier on. He said, for Arteta and for Arteta to get to where he's got over the last couple of seasons, surely himself personally wouldn't allow the club to just say, we're not buying no one. I don't think he would. I think that he'd be going, right, okay, I'm not having that. So I think it's really, really important what he's thinking. And this is the time now when you really back Arteta. This is when you really, really back him. You know what I mean? If he says he wants £100 million player, you've got to back him. Now, if that means selling a couple of players to do that or whatever, they have to back him to get it right this season, because this, if he falls short this season, he's under pressure, and it may be unfairly because he's not been backed properly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and yes, he's been backed in certain areas, as we know, but I'm just going to. We need that final step now, and that final step, Dan, is the toughest one of all. So he needs to be backed.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to throw a question to you that I deluded on maybe earlier, and he struggled to answer it, and he thought, "Wow, I've never thought of it like that." So, a lot of people say we don't need another creative midfielder because we got Odegaard, and we don't need another right-sided centre back because we got Saliba. So that's cool, no problem at all. So the unthinkable happens, the what we do not want to happen: an ACL to William Saliba, and Odegaard is going to miss the season with ruptured Achilles. Who plays at the number 10 and who plays at right-sided centre-back then, if we don't need anyone?
Well, like, this happens it can happen, as you said, like happened with Timber last season, and we navigated it pretty well. Someone will have to step up, or they'll have to go and buy something. It depends when it happens, and at the end of it, Dan, it's unfortunate if it does happen. The chances are that it's not. You're not going to get players that are going to get injured all the time. And you just got to back it, But sometimes it does happen. It happened with Man United, and it's happened with Arsenal over the years, and we've had lots of injuries, I'm not saying that we should be buying. You can't be going buying £100 million central defenders to cover £100 million central defender. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to get in there. If anything happened to Saliba, doesn't matter what you go and do, Dan. You're not going to get better than Saliba, because there's no one better than Saliba. But what you can do is get someone near as damn it. Now they'll look at it and go, Tommy Asu can do that job. Ben White might be able to do that job. Timber might be able to do that job. I think the Odegaard one's probably a little bit more precarious, if I'll be honest. If we kept Smith-Rowe, do you think Smith-Rowe could do that job like Odegaard? I don't think so. I think he can do a job, but I don't think he's at the level of Odegaard. Who is at the level of Odegaard? Not very many. And if they are, they're not going to be available. Kai Havertz maybe could come in there and do that. Maybe have to change the system a little bit, Dan. So these are the things that, are going to come along. For me, I don't think it's about looking at saying those players are going to get injured. I'm looking at try and make sure they don't get injured along the lines. So that's why you've got to do it. But if you're playing them every single week and flogging them they are going to get injured. You know what I mean? That's so. I think it's more about prevention than that. So I do think, I'll be shocked if Arsenal sign more than 3. Shocked. I think a couple of the players have come up through the youth, and I think we'll sign 3 players and probably get rid of 6 or 7. I'll be shocked if we do anything else.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. The reason I asked that is because would Arsenal win the title with Ben White at right centre-back? Don't know, is the question. Would Arsenal win the title if Odegaard's out for the year and we have Vieira there? Don't think so. And this could happen, Lee. Do you know what I mean? So when I look at Manchester City, who we're supposed to be trying to compete with, if KDB's out, they'll bloody miss him, right? But they have got Bernardo and they have got Foden. If Akanji is out or Diaz is out, they'll go, Christ, they've been our 2 best centre-halves for a while now. But they have got Aki and they have got Gvardiol and they have got John Stones. Have Arsenal? That's kind of my question, really. I suppose that's a better question to ask. And for me, not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. He's exactly
get
right.
those 3 players that you're on about, get the 3 players in, and then the bench starts looking like, hang on a minute, we've got Tommy Asu on the bench, Trossard on the bench, Martinelli on the bench, Havertz on the bench, Jesus on the bench. That's a pretty good bench, right? That's what we need to get to. And I think that's kind of what we're saying, to be fair. Right, let's get some of these questions going, shall we? Where are we? Let's take a look at this one. Serge says, are you happy that we didn't sign Sesko? Look, we can only go by his performance in the Euros. He was obviously very talented when we were linked with him, and I do think that Arsenal genuinely wanted him. But from what I saw at the Euros, I can't judge too much on that, but he didn't look great, Lee, did he?
No, and I think they bought him for potential as well. It wasn't going to be. They're looking at it like short term as well, but more more importantly, long term. So yeah, who knows? He looked very raw to me, if I'll be honest, very raw.
Yeah, I have to agree. I wasn't massively impressed, but I think it's one that's got a lot to learn. I don't think we were buying him personally to go straight into the number 9. I
Yeah.
think he wanted to play Havertz there. So let's see. This one comes from TPF. It says, how confident out of 10 are you that we will sign Calafiori, Lee?
8 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I woke up this morning thinking maybe more of a 7 because it looked like it was going to stall, but I have still got confidence we'll get it across the line. I just think it might take some time. So we'll have to see, won't we? We'll have to see. For sure, that's one that has to happen, in my opinion. Terence Tibbs has said, will Arteta give youngsters more of a chance this season, do you think?
No. What might do in the League Cup, but you can't give youngsters a chance in the Champions League. Can't give them a chance in the Premier League because you can't, as you say, you've got to win 30 games, and that still might not win you the league. So he's going to have to go on trying and trusted players, which is what he has. I think Ranieri will come into the squad definitely, maybe another one from there, but I can't see it happening more than that.
Yeah, I don't really want to be. I don't really want to be bringing them through. And I know it sounds bad because I always want to bring youngsters through. I don't mind bringing them through, like you say, Carabao Cup against Huddersfield, give them a couple of goes, give them a go. If we get the FA Cup and we draw Hull City or something at home, more than happy to see from Ranieri, Lewis Skelly, Chido Martin, if they all want to come and have a kick around or feature in the game, not a problem with that. I don't want to be like, I don't know, say 1-1 with Everton at Goodison Park and we're bringing on Ranieri to win us the game. That's not what I'm about.
No.
I don't want to be seeing that. So we'll have to leave that one there. Let's take this one, which I quite liked. From Terence again, 3 players from the Euros that caught your eye that could join Arsenal. Well, all of mine are Spanish, funnily enough. I mean, I suppose I liked Kimmich. His performance at Germany, I thought, was very good, and he'd be a player I'm interested in. Musiala's an unrealistic one, but of course he played well. But I'm going to go with 3 players that could come to Arsenal that I'd love to ask to sign. Nico Williams is number 1. I thought he lit up the Euros. I thought he was exceptional. Danny Olmo, £50 million release clause, would cover and compete with Martin Ødegaard. And I will go with Fabian Ruiz. For me, he was the player of the tournament. I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah,
I thought he was excellent. So that's one that I look at. Mum loves Cole Palmer, bless her. She absolutely loves him. He's not going to come, is he? I absolutely love him as well, but he's not going to come. Chelsea ain't going to sell him to Arsenal, that's for sure. But yeah, I've got to go with them. Any other names, Lee?
Super Mendy was very impressive in that half. I would take a punt on if he would come. I was very impressed with that 45 minutes that he done. That's about it, really. Williams, definitely. I didn't think it was a great tournament, if I'll be honest, for all round. The left back at Spain looked decent, didn't he? We're suffering for left back, and that's what I was saying. You'd be all everybody. If we didn't know who Cucurella was, we'd be all going, "Oh, that's the one we need to sort out our left side." So I don't really go too much on it there, but
this is a shout. This is a shout. Kvaratskhelia, Napoli winger for Georgia. He absolutely looks top.
Yeah, he looked very good. He did, didn't he? Very good.
Very, very good.
Georgia were very, very good, by the way. That was one of the bright sparks of the Euros, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I have to agree with that. Let's bring up another couple of these questions then before we do come to a close. This one comes from Serge. What do you think about the next year's Champions League campaign? That's a good question. What are we thinking for that? Because we're back in it and people are like, the first year back in it, boom. Well, now it's the second year back in it, Lee. What are we expecting? Are we expecting better last year? We got quarterfinals last year.
Well, nothing at this moment in time because the better teams in like Real Madrid have improved. We've not. So, I'd imagine that Bayern Munich are going to get better with a couple of signings that they've made. So at this moment in time, quarterfinals at best. And unless we show some serious intent in the next couple of weeks. But at the moment, I wouldn't. We're in there to make up the numbers. Simple as that.
If we have a window that we want, I will be excited about the Champions League.
Yes,
the squad stays similar to this, I won't be excited for the Champions League.
No, not.
Excuse me. So that's probably the easiest way to answer that one, Serge. I'll bring this one up from Aaron, and I'll add a bit to it as well because I think it's a good question. He said, "Is it or is it not our job to close the gap to Manchester City? At the minute, there's no gap that's being closed. We're not proactive enough. Whose fault is this?" Now, there's still time to go, Lee, so I'll add a bit on the end of this. If it is a disappointing transfer window, where is your fingers being pointed and who at?
The board. The owners and the board. Simple as that. I'm not, Arteta as well, because he's part of that makeup. So Arteta and Edu would be
as well,
and the board and the owners, because I would feel let down. I will feel let down. You know what I mean? Because they've took my money this season. I'm not forced me to do it, but like they have, because I'm expecting big things, and I expect some big things in the transfer window. If Arsenal weren't to spend £200 million this season, you know what I mean, like that, it's on the ball. Look, if they spend 50,000 or 60 or limited amount of money and don't spend any money this season and win the league and win the Champions League, I hold my hands up and say, well, I didn't see that coming. Well done. You know what I mean? Like, but I think that they've got to, and if they don't, we're going to be also runs in both of them at this moment in time. At the moment, we're 2 points. Man City are a 2-point better team than us, and look at the run that we had last season. We've got to do that again. Can we do it again? Yes, with the players that we've got, we can, because they've proved that they can do it. But it's going to be really, really hard. I think these next few weeks are going to be vital to see where Arsenal are. And listen, when people go, "Oh, Kroenke spending that," they've spent money. When it come down to it, they agreed to the Declan Rice deal. They agreed to the Kai Havertz deal. We need another couple of players of that ilk to come in next season. Like, £100 million midfielder would be, or if we have to, we have to. But I expect that, we spent 170 million on 2 players last season. What we're asking is for us to do that again, but not as much money, Dan. Like, I don't see us spending 170, but like, if you've got a midfield player for 100 million, and that would make, that would make Bruno available if you want to come. There's 100 million, 70 million pound for a wide player. Williams is one of those sort of guys. You're done. You are done. You know what I mean? So it really depends what they want to do, and then they're going to make a lot of money back on some of those transfers. If they sell to Smith-Rowe and Nelson, they're only spending 100 million. So listen, I don't think it's about just chucking money and millions of pounds at it. Like, it's getting the right players in at the right price, but sometimes that key player costs you a little bit more than what you want to pay. I.e., it probably did for Declan Rice, and to be honest, it did for Kai Havertz. But like, his January to May season was fantastic. But can he do it all season? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, well, we will wait and see. That's for sure. Last 3 questions before we get out of here, Nicholas. What are you prediction of the top 4? Oh, what are you predicting the top 4 will be? Well, listen, it's very hard to do that while there's a window still open and we haven't seen. But if you had to ask me now, Man City to win it, Arsenal 2nd, Liverpool 3rd, and I'm going to go Man United 4th. I think the structure will help Ten Hag, and I think the players they bring in will be better, and I think they'll actually have an all right season and get back into top 4. But I could be wrong. That's really hard to predict. I mean, we don't know what Villa are going to be like with Champions League football. Newcastle out of Europe could get top 4 if they get things right, keep their players fit. Tottenham under Ange might buy a few players in and do well. Chelsea might be back under this Maresca. Who the hell knows? It's very, very hard to predict that, Lee, isn't it?
I'm with you on that. Like, but don't sleep on Chelsea and Man United. They won't be as bad as what they've been.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Last two questions are quite different questions. That's why I've left them to last. Let's talk this one. Jake says, Dan and Lee, what's the best and the worst away stadium to get to?
Ooh.
I mean, I'll have to say, I do love going to Newcastle, but getting up them steps ain't fun.
No, that ain't fun. It's a long old trip, but it's a good trip.
It's a long trip.
I wouldn't say that I'm going to look forward to going there. Easiest one to get to for me is Tottenham. Just a one walk from there. Like hardest going to get to, hardest.
The easiest one. Oh, I see what he means in terms of actually travel. I suppose the easiest one for me to travel to is West Ham because it's just on the train to Stratford.
Or
that's easy for me. Or it'll be Ipswich for me now. The worst away stadium to get to is probably like Burnley or something like that. It's not a great trip up there, is it? Normally,
I'll probably say. Do you know what was a hard trip when you go Crystal Palace because you have to make a couple of changes?
Yeah, the changes. Yeah.
And then there's a long walk, but obviously, like that's Aston Villa's quite straightforward. All of those sort of ones are quite straightforward. Brighton's a tough one to get to.
Oh, Brighton. It's got to be because you've got to get the bloody train, haven't you?
Yeah, Brighton's tough because you've got to get into Brighton and get another train. So,
that's right.
Brighton. Yeah,
that's a good shout, actually. I would agree with that. And then lastly from Jake says, Dan and Lee, what's the best food at any away ground that you've been to? Oh, I don't really eat many at the away grounds. I had a really, really good pie at Newcastle away. I'll say you that. That was a good one. But I don't know really.
I've got to say Wolves because they've had a good hospitality ones like Wolves. Chris,
right, fair enough. I wouldn't know that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know that.
It was very nice. I don't really eat like too much of the grounds, like, you know what I mean? But I did have a burger outside Aston Villa because we was caught out one year, and it was very, very nice.
Okay,
there you go.
Well, there we go. You've heard it here, people. Aston Villa do good burgers. Right, we're going to leave it there, people. Hopefully, the next time we come on, you never know. Edu and Arteta might announce they've signed someone.
We might have heard them.
We might have. Lee, I'll let you see us out, mate.
Listen, there's no football on tonight. The cricket is on. The golf's on. Tiger's struggling. Rory's having a nightmare. Things don't change. But listen, have a good evening. The sun's shining. Don't get too drunk. If you are, make sure you put an hat on. Don't want to get sunstroke. Have a good evening.